What to do when you're alone all day, and tired of TV. You know what no one tells you about retirement? It's not just the quiet that gets to you. It's the kind of quiet that rings in your ears. The kind where hours pass and you don't remember what you did besides watching the same old shows, checking the time, and maybe wondering if anyone will call today. Hi there. I'm glad you're here with me today. I'm not just speaking to you as a researcher who's spent decades studying aging and wellness. I am also speaking to you as someone who's sat across from hundreds of older adults who quietly admitted, I'm tired of sitting in front of the TV. But what else is there? This video is not about judging anyone for feeling alone or bored. It's about understanding why this happens. It's about doing something powerful with that understanding, finding joy, purpose, and connection again, even when it feels like the world has slowed down around you. So today, let's talk about what to do when you're alone all day and sick of the TV. We'll explore what loneliness actually does to the brain and body, the psychology behind boredom and TV addiction, what alternatives actually work and feel rewarding, real stories from people who turned their loneliness into something beautiful, and most importantly, how you can build a routine that makes you excited to wake up in the morning. So grab a warm cup of tea, settle in, and let's have a real conversation, just you and me. Let's take a deep breath here and be honest with ourselves. Being alone all day, every day, isn't just a small discomfort. It can quietly chip away at our well-being. It doesn't show up with a bang. It sneaks in softly. One quiet afternoon turns into many. One missed phone call becomes a pattern. And before we know it, we're sitting in a quiet room, asking ourselves, is this all there is? The invisible weight of loneliness. Now, loneliness isn't just a sad feeling, it's actually a biological signal. Kind of like how our stomach growls when we're hungry, our body has its own way of saying, hey, something's missing. And what's missing is real human connection. Scientists have studied this stuff extensively, and the findings are startling. Research out of Brigham Young University shows that long-term loneliness can be just as harmful to your health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. That's not a small number. Think about how seriously we take smoking, and yet we don't talk about loneliness in the same urgent tone. And no, it's not just emotional. It's physical. When you're chronically lonely, your body goes into a kind of stress state. Your blood pressure creeps up. Your sleep becomes shallow or broken. Your immune system takes a hit. Even your ability to recover from illness or injury slows down. We like to think of the mind and body as separate things, but they're not. They talk to each other constantly. When the heart feels heavy, the body carries that burden. TV is a soothing but sneaky companion. So, what do we often do when the silence gets too loud? We reach for the remote. Television can feel like a friend in the room. The noise, the colors, the familiar voices, they create the illusion of presence. It's comforting in its own way. You turn it on, and suddenly you're not alone anymore, or so it seems. But here's the catch. TV gives us the sensation of connection without actually nourishing us. It's like eating a candy bar when what your body really needs is a home-cooked meal. You're watching, but you're not interacting. You're hearing stories, but you're not living them. And after a while, that comfort becomes a habit. Days start to blend together. Someone might ask, what did you do today? And the answer is, I watched TV, but you can't remember what you watched. It's background noise, filling a space that might be better used for something more engaging, more human. Dr. Teresa Lou Ambrose, a leading voice in brain health from the University of British Columbia, found that passive activities like prolonged television viewing can actually speed up cognitive decline, especially when they crowd out more stimulating, interactive activities. Now, that's not to say TV is the enemy. We all love a good movie or an engaging show now and then. But when it becomes our main companion, day in and day out, our brains and hearts start to miss out on the nutrients they really need: real conversation, real purpose, real movement. I don't even know what I watched today. That's a line I've heard many times from older adults in different settings: community centers, retirement homes, even just chatting at the grocery store. There's a kind of quiet resignation in it. Like the day passed, and they were there, but not really in it. It's not laziness. It's not lack of interest. It's often just that people don't know what else to do. We're creatures of habit, and habits form faster when we're tired, stressed, or lonely. And once a routine sets in, breaking it can feel overwhelming. Sometimes, all it takes is someone gently saying, "Hey, I see you. I've been there too." And there's a way out of that fog. And that's what this episode is really about: not just calling out the problem, but offering a hand and saying, "Let's figure this out together." Because at the end of the day, being alone doesn't have to mean being lonely. And TV doesn't have to be the only window to the world. Let's dig deeper and look at some real ways we can make our days feel more alive, more connected even when it seems like we're by ourselves. Let's keep this real. Sometimes, what we need most is to hear about someone who's been there and found their way through. That's why I want to share 3 true stories that have stayed with me. Not because they are dramatic or flashy, but because they are honest. And because they prove that even in quiet, ordinary days, something beautiful can begin. Ellen, 79, the phone tree queen. Ellen lives in one of those neighborhoods where the houses are close together but people rarely talk. After her husband passed away, her days got quieter and quieter. At first, she didn't really notice how much time was passing without real conversation. But one day, she paused and realized something chilling. I hadn't said a single word to another human being in 4 days. Not to a neighbor, not on the phone. Just the TV voices filling the silence. That moment stuck with her. So, she picked up a notepad and scribbled down the names of 6 old friends she hadn't talked to in years. High school buddies, church friends, even someone she'd met on a cruise a decade ago. She decided to call one every day. No pressure, just a hello. If no one answered, she left a simple voicemail. "Hey, just thinking of you today. Hope you're well." No long monologues. No expectations. What happened next wasn't dramatic, but it was powerful. Some of those friends called back. Some didn't. But the act of reaching out, of connecting, started to bring a rhythm to her week. A few weeks later, Ellen had a little routine going. Her calls turned into chats, and then someone invited her to join a virtual poetry group over Zoom. She wasn't a poet, but she liked the idea of hearing other people talk about their lives. And suddenly, she wasn't just filling silence, she was building something new. She told me, "I used to think no one would want to hear from me after so long. Turns out, a lot of people were feeling the same way." Her story reminds me how often we all wait for someone else to reach out first. But sometimes, we can be the one to dial. Walter, 85, the plant whisperer. Walter had a calm kind of loneliness. Not loud. Not painful. Just there. A quiet ache under the surface. He lived alone, spent his days watching old westerns, and didn't think much about it. Then one day, his daughter dropped off a little succulent in a pot. Nothing fancy. just a small green plant sitting in a shallow bowl of soil. He put it on the windowsill, watered it once, and then again. Something about it caught his attention. The way it tilted toward the light. The way it didn't ask for much, but still needed care. One plant became 5. 5 turned into 15. Soon his tiny apartment had a shelf by the window full of greenery. He started watching YouTube videos about soil types, pruning techniques, and the best indoor light setups. He even joined a Facebook group for senior plant lovers. These plants don't talk back, he told me with a smile. But they make me feel alive. It wasn't just about the plants. It was the care, the daily attention, the sense of growing something, even something small, that changed things. Walter started waking up with more energy. He kept a little notebook to track watering schedules and sunlight hours. He started commenting on other people's plant photos, giving advice, asking questions. He wasn't just a passive viewer of life anymore. He was part of something. And the beautiful part? It all started with one tiny, quiet gift. Margaret, 76, the Pen Pal Revival. Margaret was a retired teacher with a love for language and stories. But when she stopped working, that part of her life got quieter. She missed writing. She missed teaching. And the TV, which used to fill the background, started to feel like a wall. One day, a neighbor mentioned a program that connected older adults with students learning English in other countries. Margaret signed up on a whim. Soon, she was writing letters to 3 students, one in Vietnam, one in Peru, and one in Kenya. Handwritten letters, sent through the mail. Stories about her life. Encouragement. Questions about theirs. And then the letters started coming back. "Their letters brighten my week," she said. "I don't feel like a retired teacher anymore. I feel useful again." She didn't have to leave her house. She didn't need to be tech savvy. Just a pen, some paper, and a willingness to connect. Through those letters, she found purpose, identity, joy. These 3 people, Ellen, Walter, Margaret, they didn't wait for a perfect moment. They didn't make grand plans. They just took one small step. One phone call. One plant. One letter. And that one step led them out of isolation and into something richer, more alive. The bigger picture. What I love about these stories is that they are not about fixing loneliness in some dramatic, life-changing way. They are about responding to it, noticing it, and gently nudging life in a new direction. And it's not just about being social, it's about being engaged. It's about feeling like we matter, that we have something to give, that our days have texture and meaning. Science backs this up, too. Studies show that even small acts of connection or routine can boost mood, improve memory, and reduce the risk of cognitive decline. Whether it's a 10-minute phone chat or a walk through the garden, these moments light up the brain in ways that TV simply can't. So if you're someone who's been sitting in the quiet a little too long, or if the TV's been on so long you don't even hear it anymore, maybe today's the day to try something new. Not something big. Just something true. Because loneliness isn't a weakness. It's just a sign, a message that we need more connection. And that connection can come in the most unexpected ways. Let's get right into it, because this is the part that can really shift how your day feels. I've talked to many older adults over the years who've asked, "Okay, I get that too much TV isn't great. But what else am I supposed to do?" That question isn't silly. It's important. Because if we don't have something else to turn to, we'll always go back to what's easiest, and that's often the TV remote. So let's walk through a few gentle, realistic, but incredibly powerful things you can do instead. Not because you have to, but because you deserve to feel more connected, more awake, and more alive in your own skin. 1. The 3 call rule. Let's start with something simple. Reach out to 3 people each day. Could be a phone call, a text message, a voice memo. You don't have to have a deep conversation. It could be as short as just checking in. Thinking of you. Hope you're doing okay. Even if only one person replies or none, the act of reaching out is still powerful. Social connection doesn't just come from responses, it starts with the intention. I remember speaking with a woman named Janice who called her niece every Tuesday morning, whether she picked up or not. Janice told me, "It's my Tuesday thing. I leave a message, she laughs when she hears it, and I feel like I've put a little ripple of love out into the world." That's what matters. Ripples. To learn with your hands. You ever notice how relaxed you feel after kneading dough, or crocheting, or putting together a puzzle? That's not just in your head. Activities that involve using your hands and eyes together, like knitting, painting, baking, woodworking, actually light up multiple parts of your brain. Neuroscientists call these bimanual activities. They've been linked to better memory retention, improved focus, and even a lift in mood. And let's not forget the joy of making something. One man I spoke to, Frank, started carving little wooden birds during the pandemic. He now mails them to his grandchildren with little notes. He said, "I don't feel like I'm just passing time. I feel like I'm creating moments." That's the difference. 3. Volunteer even from home. Many people don't realize how many virtual volunteer opportunities exist now. You can read for the visually impaired, offer companionship calls to isolated folks, even help transcribe historical documents or support language learners. The common thread? Helping others gives our days meaning. There's something magical that happens when we shift from thinking about what we don't have to what we can give. Loneliness shrinks. Purpose expands. One gentleman named Harold told me about the joy he felt recording children's books for an online reading platform. "I sit in my kitchen, reading out loud to no one, but I imagine a child somewhere smiling. That's enough to make my day." It's not about the size of the gesture. It's about feeling useful. 4. Start a story journal. This one might surprise you. Writing down one memory a day, just one, can be incredibly powerful. Doesn't have to be long. 2 or 3 sentences is fine. Something like, "I remember the smell of my mother's apple pie cooling by the window. I always stole the first slice." Why is this helpful? It activates the reflective parts of your brain, strengthens your sense of identity, and over time, builds a beautiful collection of stories your family may one day treasure. Margaret, a former teacher I mentioned earlier, began doing this and eventually created a small book she gave her grandchildren for Christmas. She said, "They never asked for it. But when they read it, they said, 'Grandma, we didn't know you used to drive a motorcycle.'" True connection often begins with sharing ourselves. 5. Join a movement class. Movement doesn't have to be intense to be effective. Even gentle stretching, seated exercises, or slow dancing in your living room can do wonders. YouTube has some excellent channels tailored for older adults, things like chair yoga, tai chi, or low-impact dance classes. These aren't just about physical health. Moving your body releases endorphins, those natural chemicals that lift your mood and ease anxiety. One woman named Darlene told me she starts each morning with 15 minutes of seated tai chi while her tea steeps. "It wakes up my bones," she laughed, "and reminds me that I'm still here." Sometimes, just moving a little reminds us we're alive. 6. Try slow social media. I know this one might raise an eyebrow. But hear me out. Social media doesn't have to mean endless scrolling. What if you treated it like a scrapbook instead? Follow accounts that uplift you, like golden retriever videos, vintage recipes, or gardening tips. Maybe join a private Facebook group for retirees who share your hobbies. Leave comments. Share a picture or two. Don't go down the rabbit hole, just dip your toes in. You're curating joy, not chasing dopamine. I met a man named Louis who posts one old photo a week from his childhood, telling the story behind it. He's made dozens of online friends that way. And he told me, it's the modern version of showing photos around the dinner table. Connection doesn't always have to be face to face. 7. Create a weekly ritual. This might be the most underrated tip. Our minds crave structure. Even something as simple as Monday equals memory journal day. Wednesday equals call a cousin day. Friday equals listen to jazz and clean the kitchen day. These small rituals turn empty time into meaningful time. They give your week a rhythm. Something to look forward to. Something that says, today matters. One man I know, Calvin, watches a virtual church service every Sunday morning and then writes a short note to someone in his family about it. He said, it's not just watching. It's connecting my thoughts to someone else. A ritual can be anything that feels grounding. And when you stick to it, even a little, it becomes a thread tying your week together. So there you have it, 7 practical ways to fill your days with more connection, creativity, and meaning. And if just one of them sparks something in you, that's already a beautiful start. Because the truth is, we're not meant to be numb all day with a TV humming in the background. We're meant to feel, to reach, to create, to connect. And sometimes, the journey begins with something as simple as picking up the phone, or opening a notebook, or dancing while your tea steeps. You're not alone in this. And your time still matters deeply. Let's take a breath here, together. You ever find yourself staring out the window for a little too long, or turning off the TV and asking, is this it? If you have, you're in good company. A lot of us have been there. That quiet lull in the middle of the day where everything feels still, but not peaceful. Just empty. And not because anything dramatic happened, but because nothing did. Here's the thing. That kind of stillness can start to wear on a person. But, and this is important, it doesn't mean you're broken. It just means your soul is a little hungry. For purpose. For connection. For something to look forward to. That's not something to be ashamed of. That's something to notice, and respond to, just like thirst or hunger. One thing I've noticed from talking to so many older adults is that it's not about how many people are around you. It's about whether you feel seen. Whether you feel like your presence still ripples outward. Whether you still feel needed in some small but real way. And I want to say, without any fluff, you are. You matter in quiet, powerful ways that might not make the news, but they change the course of someone's day. Now, let's be honest. Not every day is going to feel inspiring. Some days, the best we can do is get up, make the bed, and heat up some soup. That counts. But on other days, maybe there's room for a little more. Maybe it's picking up the phone, writing a note, watering a plant, watching a silly cat video and laughing out loud. Every act of reaching, whether it's toward another person, a new hobby, or even just a memory, is a way of saying, I'm still here. Let's not think of loneliness as this deep, dark pit we fall into. Think of it like a gentle nudge. A signal from your inner life saying, "Hey, I need some attention." We tend to push that feeling aside, thinking it's a personal failing. But it's not. It's biology. It's humanity. And it's something we can work with. Gently. Intentionally. Look at Ellen. One phone call turned into a daily rhythm of connection. She didn't go out looking for a community. She made one. Or Walter. He didn't wake up one day and say, "I'm going to become a plant expert." He just took care of one thing. Then another. Then another. And the act of caring gave him something back. And Margaret? She found purpose in her old passion, writing. She used her memories and voice to connect with kids halfway around the world. That's no small thing. None of them did anything dramatic. But they did something. And that made all the difference. So maybe today's the day you try one small thing. Not because you're trying to fix yourself, but because you're giving yourself something nourishing. A little spark. Try calling someone just to say hello. Or stepping outside for 5 minutes and noticing what the air feels like. Or writing down the funniest thing that happened to you in the past week. These things aren't trivial. They are lifelines. And if you're sitting there thinking, "I don't know where to start," just know that even watching this video, that counts. You showed up. You listened. You considered something different. You're already on the path. So here's the gentle reminder we all need. You're not too late. You're not too far gone. And you are absolutely, without a doubt, not alone. And if any part of today's conversation stirred something in you, even a little, I'd love to hear about it. Leave a comment. Share one thing you tried that made your day feel a bit brighter. Or maybe just say hello. Your story could be the reason someone else feels seen, too. Let's make this space, this little corner of the internet, a place where quiet voices matter. Subscribe to Elderly Care for more real talk, research-backed advice, and heartwarming stories just like this. Comment below, what's one thing you do when you're tired of the TV?